Hi, my name is Joe Stewart. I'm doing my dress rehearsal speech on Native American artifacts. I'm going to take you through from prehistoric Indians all the way through to the historic Indians. Your prehistoric Indians were your Paleos and your Adinas and Hopewells. Your Paleos were nomads, which meant that they based their survival off of primarily farming. They would use tools such as the drill, and they would come up with different tools to use for farming. They weren't trying to protect their land. They didn't really have a care in the world. I mean, they did a little bit of hunting, but mainly it was farming. Now, your Adinas and Hopewells, which they were mountain builders, and hunters and gatherers, which they based their survival off of killing other animals and preserving the meat into a jerky. That's what they primarily did, was to turn all their meat into jerky. Now this right here is what an arrow would have looked like in the prehistoric time. See, it's got a flint tip, a long shaft made out of, mainly oak. They would wrap their feathers, and they like to use turkey feathers. Something about a turkey feather and the downs off their wings, just something about them made an arrow fly a little bit. And they would wrap it with sinew. Sinew it's mainly fat from an animal in between the meat and the hide. They would take that and make a long strings out of it, which they used to wrap this stuff with. And they would take sap from a tree, from pine trees, to make the arrow stick, and then wrap it with this sinew. Now, they did have to fight. They did have to protect their land and, kind of defend off other tribes from getting in their area. I mean, all these Indians were from the Ohio Olentangy River Valley, which Olentangy meant river of face paint. And they would gather these flint pieces from Flint Ridge, which is located in Lima, Ohio. Which Flint Ridge, it's your jewel flint. It's a real nice, real high quality flint. And there's other kinds of flints too, such as the Shockton flints, which is real black looking. And then there's another thing called your Delaware flint, which is located right here in Delaware County. And it's a real dull flint. It's not a real high quality flint. But they would take this flint and fire it, and in something that would resemble a kiln, which made it real hard and real flaky. Now they would make these knives and these arrowheads, sharp, real sharp. It's one of the sharpest substances known to man. And they would use these pieces. A lot of your pieces, like anything over an inch, was a knife. Anything under, like these real small pieces, were used for arrowheads. A lot of people think when they say arrowheads, when they see a blade like this, they would think that it would be on the end of a stick and used for an arrow, which isn't the case. They used a lot of real little blades for knives, just for all kinds of tools and stuff. They also had ceremonial pieces, burial pieces. Like this right here, I found this when I was a little kid. Well, not a little kid, but a teenager. And it was most likely used for a ceremonial piece. It's 3 or 4 inches long. It's made out of Flint Ridge flint, and it was mainly used for ceremonial purposes. Now they also use granite, which this is called what we call a 3/4 groove hammerstone. A lot of people think that it was used for war, and we call this a war club. It would be placed on a stick and wrapped with sinew, which I explained earlier, and used. It's real heavy, real dense. You can't break it. They also used, made tomahawks is what they would call them. We call them axes or stuff like that. But they would, like I said, put it on a stick and use it, for defending their land, fear off other tribes, and kind of push them away. And it's just amazing how they used all these artifacts, how they found this flint and used it in ways that so they could survive, so they could make it on a daily basis. That pretty much sums up for my prehistoric Indians. I'm going to take you now into the historic Indians. Your historic Indians were like your Wyandot, your Delaware, your Shawnee. Now these Indians kind of left behind the flint and kind of went to using steel, which they traded from the French. See, they had all kinds of white men coming in from all over the place trying to take their land from them. And they got to be pretty good friends with first with the French. And they would trade all kinds of stuff, hides and, stuff that they had for the steel. And they would, what they used here as a tomahawk was now replaced with steel. A lot more durable, didn't break. They would use steel for their arrowheads. Replace flint. Instead of using an arrow one time, they could use it several times. They could use the point several times. And they pretty much took everything to a whole nother level. As far as their survival went, they took it all. They pretty much went to a whole nother dimension. They had all kinds of people trying to. Think about it. Someone's trying to take your land from you. You're going to do and come up with the best thing possible to use to fight these people off. This speech is going to be done with a group of guys, not a large group of guys, but a lot of these guys here have been hunting artifacts for most of their lives. They know a lot about it. Now, I am going to have some people here that are fairly new to collecting artifacts. A couple of my buddies that I kind of got into it. And I'm going to leave some time open for questions that they may have. Any questions that they may have about, hunting artifacts, where the best places are to find them, what different artifacts came from different periods. Then this pretty much wraps up my dress rehearsal speech for artifact hunting. I hope you enjoy it, and I look forward to doing it. Thank you.